Welcome to another edition of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jared Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Well, mighty Joe, how you doing, man?
Well, doing all right, Jared. How you doing?
Good, man. You know, it's windy in West Texas, newsflash, but it's pretty day. You know, it's cooler, it's much cooler, you know, in the 70s. This is really like, to me, the best time of the year, because spring, man, we'll talk about some wind. Those haboobs.
No doubt about it.
Like Malik Dunlap told me before the season, the first haboob he experienced here in Lubbock, he thought it was like end times. He thought the world was going to.
Well, you know, I can understand that very well.
Right?
Yeah.
None of those happening right now.
No.
Knock on wood. Great questions this week. Obviously, there's a lot of questions given the results here recently, so let's dive right into it. I wear boots. Says, I had a question, but I honestly don't even care anymore. Just want season over, changes made, recruits secured, and install a new offensive system this off season. Well, season's not over. There's 5 games left. Even though this isn't actually a question, it's more of a statement. I understand it. I get that after that performance, and I think the way things unfolded, all the injuries, just all that happened with Texas Tech's 39-21 loss to Kansas State. I get it, but a lot of these guys have been playing their last games. I don't know how much this matters to people or not, but they can go to a bowl game. All those things that are tied into that, money, practices, all that stuff. You know, being able to say, hey, we did go to a bowl game, that's true. But this season's already been written in terms of expectations were not met.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. The thing is, with every loss, it's normal, you know. Care and I give up blankety blank. It ebbs away, it diminishes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it happens with the fans. It happens to an extent with the media, and it has to be the same thing with the players as well. But I mean, yeah, we are still several games away from the finish, and you know, I mean, it seems extremely improbable and unlikely, and I'm certainly not predicting it. But who's to say that it's not possible the team might catch fire and suddenly start playing well and win a bunch of games and have an at least respectable season? You know, so you can hold out that hope anyway, as unrealistic as it may seem. And you know, those are the sorts of things that keep you plugging away at it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's easy to be like, to see the way the season has unfolded through 7 games and be like, predict the rest of the season is just going to be terrible. But I mean, what if Tech wins 6 games and knocks out Texas and Austin, which again sounds unlikely. But how many times have we seen that play out, not just in sports in general, but with Texas Tech? We've seen it a lot. Next question comes from 74 Tech fan who says, here's my question. Joey McGuire is a CEO, head coach. What is his function during a game? He actually says all that stuff.
It's one of those.
Bottom line is, what does Coach McGuire do? He does a lot during the game. I mean, he's constantly communicating with his coordinators. He has to consider all kinds of things like game situations, whether fourth down, whether go for it, punt, field goal. And I've asked him this publicly and not publicly, hey, you know, how much input do you have on your coordinators? And it's quite a lot. He's constantly talking to them. He also has to make sure the way the game goes is how he wants it. You know, I think you could argue, like, has it gone the way he wanted this year? I mean, it hasn't worked out, but they won a lot of close games just last year. I mean, they did a lot of things last year. So it's not like McGuire can't do it. It's what have you done for me lately? And they're not doing it right now. But if you're wondering if the system works, what he's doing as kind of a CEO style, if it can work, well, it has already. So, yeah, it can.
Yeah, you know, I think kind of what 74 is getting at is kind of the overall game management from McGuire, all the things that go into that. And, you know, to be perfectly honest, I mean, you can fault McGuire. I mean, ultimately, the buck stops with him. This season has not been anything like we expected. It's been a huge disappointment. And that falls on McGuire ultimately, and he would certainly acknowledge that. However, you know, when it comes to game management and use of timeouts, communication, so forth and so on, I don't really think that's necessarily the problem. I think that if you're looking for explanations for why this season has gone down the way it has, you probably have to look at other things. So I mean, to me, that's not the top priority, the top of the hit list for what's gone wrong this season.
Next question comes from Jay Luke Brady, who says, why should we stay invested in the Tech football program? See history of Tech football needed for reference. Yeah, I think that's a great question and a valid question. First off, I think you stay with your team. In college, I mean, if it's the school you went to, then of course, you know. I'll give you just my personal thoughts on it. For example, the Dallas Mavericks. So I grew up in the 90s. My parents had season tickets really for entertainment business purposes. But nobody ever wanted to go to the game unless it was like Michael Jordan in town or something, you know? And then, of course, everybody wanted to go to the game. So I never got those tickets. But me and my buddies, we got like free tickets to the Maverick games when they were the worst NBA team of the decade. I mean, just terrible. And we got to see so much great basketball. And it was invaluable for me. I learned so many things from watching the pros just do their thing. But I never flipped. I never said, oh, well, I'm a Lakers fan now. Of course, I love Michael Jordan. I rooted for him. But not over the Mavericks. I wanted the Mavericks to win. And when they got to the mountaintop, and like Texas Tech basketball, when they got within seconds of a national championship and lost it, the Mavericks were up 2-0, going back home, looked like they were going to win a championship in 2006, and they lost to the Heat. It was terrible, and they looked like they were never going to get back. They blew up their team. They came back, won, beat LeBron and D-Wade, Miami. It was triumphant. It was the best. It was so much sweeter than even as like a Cowboy fan. It's kind of what used to be a front runner, back in the day. Being that underdog, having gone through so many years of misery, made it. I mean, I cannot tell you what a party. Like for days that like my brother, my friends, and I had, it was the best. It was the best sports thing, even better than the Cowboys. And I think that's the payoff. That's why you stick with your team, and also that's just the way, in my opinion, you should live your life, right?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the way you're wired. If you, I mean, if you like college football and you went to Texas Tech or have been cheering for Texas Tech as a fan all your life, then I mean, what choice do you have? I mean, are you just suddenly going to
be a UT fan or something?
Start pulling for Texas or some other team, or are you just going to say, I'm chucking college football together? I mean, you can do that, but if it's something you like, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, and what works for you. But I mean, it's the nature of a fan, a real fan, to stick with his team, regardless of how dark the times are and how bad it's been historically. And I mean, I can't guarantee you that any of us will live long enough to see Texas Tech win a conference title. I can't. I mean, the history dictates that is a huge question. But I mean, you just keep hanging on, you keep plugging away, and you keep hoping. You're going to be suffering a lot of heartache. There's no doubt about it. But maybe, just maybe, there will be some payoff down the line somewhere, and then, like you said, how much sweeter it will be.
And I realize not to be take too long on this question, but it is a good question. I answered your question more like philosophically, but to answer your question directly, where's the light at the end of the tunnel for Texas Tech football? Well, I'll say, going back to the answer to the first question, one, McGuire and the staff has shown that they can win now. Big, no, but I mean, they did a lot of things that hadn't been accomplished in either a long time or ever, just a season ago. And they're recruiting at a rate that is as good or better than maybe we've ever seen in Tech football history. So I think there is evidence to suggest, despite so much evidence to suggest the opposite, that's never going to happen, and that this staff may not get it done specifically. I think there's evidence to suggest that there could be a big payoff down the road. Next question comes from SM8588, who says, assume the agreement is reached that Kidley needs to go. Does Tech have the cojones to pull the trigger given West's status? First off, I've heard nothing to suggest that there's an agreement in place for Kidley to go. I'm not saying you're wrong for suggesting that. I think it's premature. Personally, I don't think it's premature to pose the question. I think it's premature to seriously consider firing Kidley. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, and I respect that. But to answer your second question, absolutely. What world are we living in that you would sacrifice your football success for your even Hall of Fame legendary track coach? It's just, by any given metric, and perhaps, unfortunately, most importantly, monetarily, track is is not even a blip on football's ass, to be honest. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, it's a niche sport at best. I respect the people who do it. You and I have actually talked about it. We enjoy watching track in the Olympics and appreciate the athleticism, but in terms of what you want, the fans overall, there's no comparison. So, yeah, I don't think that's good at all. I think that's something that's been created. It makes sense when you first think about it, but then when you really think about it, it makes absolutely no sense that Wes Kitley's guys here at Texas Tech would keep Texas Tech from moving on from Zach Kitley if they felt unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, the football program monetarily is probably about as valuable as the rest of the university. I mean, that may be, is it an exaggeration? Is it not? I don't know the numbers, but it's a huge corporation is basically what it is. And there's a lot of people making a lot of money on this. And then there's a lot of people whose just daily livelihood, they're not getting rich or anything,
right?
But they're still, it's their lifeblood.
Right.
It's how they put bread on.
Yeah.
You know, and you do not sacrifice all that. If you believe that your offensive coordinator is putting your program in harm's way. If they arrive at that conclusion that he's got to be gone, then he's going to be gone. That's all there is to it.
Next question comes from Techosaurus Rex. I like this. Do you think an average person, provided he is in shape, could gain 1 yard on a run in the NFL? How would you do it? What play would you call? And would you try it for $1 million per yard? Okay, here's my scenario. Let's say you or I were, in somewhat shape. Anyways, could we do it? Average people. Yeah, there is a scenario. Now we may die or get seriously injured, but what I would do is the game's totally out of hand. Here's my chance, and maybe it's like a Hail Mary scenario. Sneak me in there as a running back or tight end or something, and do some kind of handoff, or if I'm an up back, fullback run. What if I get 5 yards and fall down before anybody tackles me? As long as the offensive line does his job, there's always the chance that I could just get murdered before I get to the line of scrimmage. But if it's a Hail Mary scenario, all the teams most of the defense is way back, and break through the line, get 5 yards, $5 million, kneel, slide, kneel. If I don't hurt myself trying to slide or kneel, then that works, right?
Yeah. I would do it too. I would try. Sure, I would do that. But it also depends. The likelihood of succeeding depends upon the situation. If he leaves it open, so I can kind of go the opposite direction. And what if you're behind the worst dadgum offensive line in the NFL against the best defensive line
in a goal line situation?
In a goal line situation, and they know you're carrying the ball.
No.
Do you pick up 1 yard? Highly unlikely. Any average person is probably going to get mashed at the line or even behind it. So
a good running back's probably going to get mashed behind the line in your scenario.
So it just depends on what the situation would be.
Earl Campbell might get mashed. Sorry,
it could be. So the Lord knows if they're run blitzing the way that the awesome K-State Wildcats did. You don't stand a ghost of a chance there. But regardless, I would run the risk of a serious spleen injury in order to get $1 million. That would change my life.
I think I would too.
Yeah.
Turtle Biscuit Boss says you can fix one of these three for this season on the football team. Which one do you choose? QB, health, wide receiver player, or pass rush?
I'm going with the wide receiver.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I think that helps your quarterback health. Right?
Yeah, whoever the quarterback is.
Yeah, as it is right now, those receivers just can't rely on them getting open, which means the quarterbacks have to hang on to the ball too long. Too often they have to scramble, they're getting hit, they're getting hurt. It's a really top-notch receiver core like Tech had, back under Leach, would make all sorts of difference with this team. So fix that, and that cures a lot of ills.
They're a long way from that. Remember, they had so many receivers that were just amazing, and now it's like
there's nothing really.
Yeah, there's really not. There's not a lot. Miles Price, Quay Aiken's kind of coming around. Jermaine Bradley's been a massive disappointment to the point where people are questioning how important he is to like a lot of people. Well, Monty Joe, that's going to do it. Great questions from y'all. Great stuff from you as always. Thank you for watching, and until next time.